Sparks with the Grant Sparks Show this morning, episode 328. We've been doing 328 episodes of these, and I'm just going to do it till the day I drop dead. Mainly because I just need this outlet, and I love talking with you and sharing a little bit about our progress and growth. But also because I want to be sure that you know that there are other things going on than the normal things everyone else is talking about. Come up from your social media a little bit with me for a second. Come up from your normal news feed, and let's talk about some amazing things like, number one, how I made my team cry this week. It was a surprise, emotional moment, and I made the team cry. Nearly everyone was in tears. Sorry about you, but we're going to tell you why. Because we touched on a success key to goal setting that we very rarely ever talk about. And the success key to goal setting, I think, is probably, in my estimate, one of the top 2 or 3 reasons that most of your goals are not succeeding as quickly as you want them to. So we're going to cover that. But before any of that, and I'm going to share with you my experience with RedNote in the TikTok ban. That's going to be brief because there's some insights about your life as an American, your life in North America, your life in the West, relative to what we often assume about what's going on in China. Fishuber, hello, I didn't see you. I was trying to figure out a tag to look for someone like you streaming. Good morning, Fishuber's here. How you doing, Fishuber? Thank you so much for coming on. So we're going to be covering how I made my team cry very briefly as it came to goal setting, the one success key you're missing, and a brief experience in RedNote that I've had because I've been killing it on RedNote. So a brief experience I had on RedNote that I think could pepper how you view basically our society here in North America, in the West. Let's talk about it. Before anything, I want you to take a quick second. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I want you to take this moment right here to pause, breathe. You're getting sucked into your day. You're getting sucked into your remote work. You're getting sucked into your responsibilities. You're getting sucked into your feeds. I am too. Take a second and breathe. And tell me in the comments what you're grateful for. Tell me in the comments at least one thing that you're grateful for, that you woke up this morning and said, man, I could use a pick-me-up, and you thought about something good. You thought about something right, something that went well this last week, something that didn't go so well, but you turned it into something good for yourself, a learning experience. Tell me one thing you're grateful for in the comments, wherever you're at, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever you're at. Drop in the comments something you're grateful for, and I want you to continue to rehearse seeing the good in your life. Now, before we go on, I'm going to share mine, and then I'm going to show you how I made my team cry this week. Thing I'm grateful for is, yes, for making my team cry this week. We actually had a great team meeting this week. For those of you who don't know, Fishuber, you may or may not know, we own a website company. We recently merged with an influencer company. We're pivoting all of it to be a training company. We're collaborating with a brand designer, John Sierra, and his murals. We're going hard this year and really expanding our services because we're going to tackle the AI apocalypse. And a lot of these jobs that people are freaking out, a lot of people are selling their web agencies. A lot of people are selling their design agencies. It's getting hard out there, and the public is getting weird too. But we're just determined to move forward. And I have a gift and a passion for coaching and training, if you can't tell by the Grant Sparks Show. I am grateful this week for that meeting because that meeting, each person in that group, even the employees beneath me, said things in their personal vision that contributed to my macro vision for everyone out of their own, no prompting. They just did it. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the habits I have shaped that remind me of my goals. I have little things I put in my calendar. I have little things, reminders I set in my Google Keep Notes. These little habits come back to bless me in a big way so that I just feel refreshed and strong. And I'm grateful for that. Fishuber says, I was going to see if you knew any resources I could utilize since I'm changing my degree. I hear this from cybersecurity to business admin. Interesting. I want to do global supply chain stuff with Japan, bro. I just don't know what to look for to help me get more informed about business aspects. I have the answer for you, Fishuber. Hang on. And I feel like I'm starting from square one by pivoting. Number one, Fishuber. I don't know how old you are, but if you're in school, I imagine you're anywhere from your late teens. Good morning, Real Christopher King. I see you out there. Good morning. So Fish Huber, I assume you're either in your late teens to early 30s, give or take. You could be at anywhere in your journey with this cybersecurity. I don't know where you're at, but anywhere on that spectrum, you are not. I'm 30. I was just going to say anywhere on that spectrum, you are not late. Fish Huber, my dad started over at 40. At 40, started an entire new career, spent 20 years in that career, very happy. And so if you feel like that this changes for you, Real Chris King, good morning, brother. Keep killing it. You keep killing it. I keep seeing your posts. You are making an impact. If all of you who don't know, jump over on Instagram, holler at the Real Christopher King. I was fortunate enough to meet this gentleman in person, but this guy is making an impact in his nonprofits. He's making an impact in his for-profits. He's impacting lives. Go check him out. Shout out to you, Chris King. So Fish Huber, and you on Instagram can't see Fish Huber's comment from Twitch, but I'm going to call it out here. Fish Huber's changing careers from cybersecurity business admin. So here's the thing. This is what I would suggest for you. Number one, you have got to connect Fish Huber with my contact, Jackie Roach. I'm going to put her name here in the comments to you. Jackie Roach. Boom. Just like it sounds. You should see that come up. Let me make sure those comments. Yeah, those comments should hit Twitch for you there, Fish Huber. Jackie Roach. She's on my LinkedIn. She was on my show, The Not Crypto Bros. She has been a compatriot and a friend. She's on my Instagram. So Fish Huber, you can always find me on the other socials if you haven't already at grantsparks.me. There you go. That's how you find me on Instagram, Fish Huber. Find me there. And I will make sure that you have Jackie Roach's contact info. And the reason I tell you this is she has an MBA in global supply chain management. She messed around. And I say messed around, I don't mean to trivialize it. She specialized in blockchain as well, and blockchain technologies and cutting edge stuff. You should continue with a minor or at least some coursework or project work in cybersecurity, because this is not going away. But as you pivot to global supply chain management with a focus in business admin, with a focus in the region of Japan, you will crush it. And I am not exaggerating here. I spent some time on Rednote. This confirmed my belief. I have visited not Japan, but mainland China. I visited Singapore. I've traveled a bit. I'm overdue for a trip to Japan. But that entire region is so much further ahead that if you specialize, I don't know where in the North, I assume you're in North America. I don't know where you're at. But if you have not yet, get over there. It sounds like you might have some exposure there, but I cannot encourage you enough. But Jackie Roach will have resources for you. She'll be able to point you in the right direction. She'll be able to advise you on some books to read. She'll be able to advise you on what school. Cybersecurity is oversaturated, and the first thing to get let go is cyber people, because they don't make the company money. And this is very true. And let me speak to this real quick, Fish Huber. And I know this is a little bit of a derail, folks, but this is important because I believe in igniting lives, and Fish Huber's changing careers. This is a freaky time. So Fish Huber, my older brother has been in cybersecurity since he left the military. He worked for a major shoe company up in Portland, Oregon, major shoe company as an assistant CISO. He worked for the largest county, hint, hint, in Southern California doing their cybersecurity. He's written cyber plans for some of the largest transportation. I'm going to generalize transportation vehicles around. Good morning, Mama and Nendo on Instagram. And so my brother, having worked in this, the number one thing he would always speak to is this point right here, Fish Huber. And that is most cybersecurity people are like most devs. They assume that everyone understands their value, and they don't. Businesses don't understand the value. Cybersecurity as a small skill set with a bigger skill set in business, if you can combine those two, you can speak to the value of some of the cybersecurity, and that will set your course. Now, you might just need to get a new career, which sounds like that's what you're doing in business admin. Fantastic. And global supply chain management. Great. But I would say still add a 5 to 10% study, keeping abreast of what's going on with cybersecurity, because you are far more, and this is as an entrepreneur who is hired in a lot of these spaces, you are far more valuable if you come up to me and say, hey, global supply chain management, great, but like what? And you can speak to a lot of global supply chain, but if you can also speak to the security concerns, there's a little extra zhuzh. There's a little extra a spiff for me as a hiring manager of some kind, whether you're a consultant or an employee. There's a little extra love because cybersecurity is not going away. It is oversaturated. You're right. But it's saturated with sheeple who thought that getting their certs is enough. And to your point, as you have observed, it's not enough. But if you can do your goal, but still keep one little toe in the water on what's going on in cyber, you would be irreplaceable, my friend. So I encourage you. Jackie Roach, she's an awesome resource for global supply chain management with an understanding of blockchain and cryptography and all sorts of fun stuff. And she'll be able to point you in the right direction. So we'll get you there. So sorry for that derail, everyone. That was valuable because I think FishUber really is making some wise choices here. Let's talk about this. So we set some goals with my team on Tuesday. We all had the American holiday off, Martin Luther King Day on Monday. And the following day, we did a team goal setting meeting. Now, the thing about this team goal setting meeting was this. If you know anything about me, my big thing is a goal coach. Yes, we own businesses, but I bring clarity to people as it comes to their goals and their vision. That's my skill. And I hear their story loops, and that's my skill. And so I do this for clients. I do this for the company. But the team raised their hand a few weeks ago and said, Grant, why don't you do this for us personally? And I was remiss. I teared up. I was like, you know what? You are my people. And I should be doing this for you personally. I should be helping you set your big goals. I should be helping you get massive clarity. So we put it on the calendar for this past Tuesday to not work through corporate goals, to not work through my vision for everyone, but to help them find their vision. And very quickly, I do things differently when it comes to goal setting. A lot of goal setting is future casting. And if you woke up this morning or yesterday, you might have seen a feed like this. You might have looked at your news feeds. You might have looked at your to-do list. You might have gone to the gym and your brain is already racing and your emotional state is do. Your emotional state is accomplish. If you're in it, right? Like if you're doing it. Now, if FishUber, for example, might be in cybersecurity, it might be code. It might be penetration test or whatever's going on in cyber tech for them. But what about you? Your job? Check in with your emotions real quick right now, because this is what made my team cry. I want you to check in with your emotions and tell me on a scale of 1 to 10 how fast your brain is moving for the day. On a scale of 1 to 10, are you happy? Are you sad? Are you neutral? Are you intense? Are you focused? Are you unfocused? Are you dragging? What's your emotional state? Let me know in the comments. If you're watching this, I see 2 of you, 4 of you, 3 of you, 5 of you, 2 of you over here. I see a few of you over here on Instagram. That means you're watching. Take a second and tell me in the comments. Fess up to yourself and me on a scale of 1 to 10. What's your emotional state? I'm intense at a level 6. I'm focused at a level 8. I'm worried at a level 5. I'm happy at a level 7. Whatever. I'm depressed. Level 2. I just don't even want to get out of bed. Tell me what that emotional state is. And this is what I had my team do. Because as it comes to goal setting, if you are not in the right energetic state when it comes to goal setting, it is very difficult to look into the future because goals are about the future. Goals are about where you're headed. Goals are about who you're going to be. And oftentimes it's just a to-do on a to-do list. We think we've set a goal and we set it on a to-do list, but have you gone day after day, week after week, month after month, not exactly accomplishing all those goals? I have accomplished some and I've accomplished a lot. I get a lot done. But was it the thing I set my intentionality to? Was it my actual goal? A lot of people, no. FishUber confesses, my brain is always running at a 9 to 10, and I'm content but aiming higher. For Colossians 3:23, you're a person of faith. I love it. That means you have a spiritual side, FishUber. That means you spend time in the state of mind that I'm about to talk about, actually. So that's a good sign. So when we think about our goals, a lot of people think goals don't work because they set a lot of goals. They write a lot of tasks. They chase. They come up for air and they go, hey, where's that goal at? Did it manifest? No, time gets away from me. It seems so hard. And they get into this downward spiral of disbelief as it comes to goals. Now, what I challenged my team to do, knowing this, and I've done a ton of goal coaching. I've been doing goal coaching for almost 18 years now. Goals themselves pulled me out of a suicidal depression as a young 20-something with no direction in my life, not knowing where I belonged in the world, not knowing if I should pick this career or that, like Fish Uber is doing right now, not knowing who I was going to be. Totally lost. Goal setting saved my life, but it wasn't just the goal setting, because I went a few years trying to set goals and not seeing anything come to pass. So this is how I challenged my team, and this is what I present for your consideration. I challenged my team with this one activity, two activities actually. I made them close their eyes and breathe. And you can't do this right now. You might be driving to work. You might be getting ready for your day. I told them to breathe. And we did some centering. And we breathed. And I asked them this question. I said, in the last 12 months, I want you to go back into December in your mind's eye. I want you to go back into November. I want you to go back and jump back to July. Jump back to April, jump back to January. And this was a very slow process. We don't have time for that together today, but I want you to do this and breathe and be in January 2024 and look out over the year and tell me the thing you're most proud of, the achievement you're happiest that you have achieved. And when we did this, the team started tearing up. And I said, do you mind sharing? And it was an intimate enough space that the team began sharing the things they were grateful for that they had achieved. And by the end of that 1 year exercise, they were all in tears, and I asked them, why are you in tears? Don't tell me, but write it down. So they wrote down this accomplishment that they were most proud of last year. And they took time with that. I said, what is the feeling you had? And they said joy. They said gratitude. They said relief. They said, and I was like, tell me on a scale of 1 to 10, how was that feeling? And when you think about it, why are you in tears? Because when I think about it, I just go right to that place of success and accomplishment. What about the rest of the year? It was tough. It was drudgery. It was difficult. And we spent some time in these emotions. And I told them to write down in detail the feeling, the sights, the sounds, the smells of that accomplishment of the past. I said, okay, before we set goals in the future, I want to do one more version of this. And I said, I want you to think back to when you realized you were an adult. Long before this year, go back to when you were 18, 19, 20, maybe earlier, maybe later. And then look out over your life since that moment from that young perspective and pick the 1 or 2 things you are most proud of. Maybe it was holding your kids for the first time. Maybe it was that big career move. Maybe it was finishing your degree. Maybe it was moving abroad or moving to a new city. Think about that thing and breathe into it and tell me how it feels. And suddenly everyone in the room started crying again. And I said, write it down. I said, write down the feelings you have. Write down the sights, the sounds, the smells. We went through the same exercise and they shared, and it was intimate enough. And we were all in tears by the end, listening to these accomplishments. And then I pointed out to them, I said, listen, up until that moment that you felt your best, up until that moment that you felt most proud, you probably felt those good feelings. Here it is. Because of the negative feelings that preceded it. The fear of if you're going to be a good parent. The absolute exhaustion of finishing your degree. The fear of moving to a new city, not sure if it's going to work out, not sure if you're going to find an apartment or a job. The heartbreak of losing that partner before finding a new one. I said it's the contrast and those negative feelings. And oftentimes when people begin to set goals, they think about their responsibilities today and they think about their responsibilities tomorrow and they look ahead. And sometimes when you're thinking about those to-do lists and those responsibilities, life can feel heavy. And if you set a goal in that state of mind, that's the energy on your goals. So when you step up to the plate and try to do them, you drudge a little bit. You're like, oh, I'm not in love with this feeling, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to willpower. I'm going to do it. The missing secret key to success, the missing element to the goals are those very feelings when you set the goal. The reason I had my team look back at their successes last year and then the year before or their lifetime before is I want people to realize, and you need to hear me on this, I need you to realize that at any given moment, you can tap the same level of feelings. At any given moment, you can go to a place of joy. You can go to a place of gratitude, and it might take you reflecting on past successes. This is why your dream board on the wall should have a section of past successes. This is why when you succeed at something, oftentimes there's a depression after you succeed, but that is because we usually do not properly celebrate that moment and anchor it in our brain so that we can reflect on that success when we doubt ourselves or when we look to our goals in the future and ask ourselves if we can do it. The reason I have my team reflect is I want them to remember what these good feelings, these emotions of joy that cause you so intensely to feel joy that you cry, the catharsis of returning to just wanting to smile. Someone in the room said their kids were giving them problems. The other in the room said their kids were sick or struggling to make that next paycheck. The other person in the room was struggling with a move or a lot of judgment they had when they got pregnant young. And then on the other side of that, the accomplishment, the joy of having overcome those things and shaking off those negative feelings and entering into a space by choice. You see, when you set goals for today, for tomorrow, the key secret ingredient, that extra Creole seasoning, that extra spice, that extra jalapeno that gives it a kick, that extra zhuzh, is positive, joyful, sincerely joyful to the point of almost cathartically crying. That sense of joy as you write that goal and move it. There's two stages of creation. When you imagine something, when you imagine it, that's one stage of creation, but it gives it atoms and materializes when you physically write it down. The electronic field of typing it out is one thing, but it does not have the same, look up neurographology. It does not have the same impact as writing it in pen or paper or dry erase marker. And when this thing exists here first and then begins to manifest on your screen because you are writing it out, the thing, the will, the emotion that you give it when you're writing that thing out, is it fear and dread? Every time you look at it, it's going to re-trigger those feelings of fear and dread. Is it joy? Is it joy? Unmeasurable? Is it gratitude that you have that dream? Every time you look up, it's going to trigger that feeling. This is the missing element from your goals. And if your goals don't lead you down this path, or if you don't have this habit of triggering that emotion in yourself, you might achieve your goals by sheer willpower, but the process is going to be that much more difficult and dreadful. The process is going to be that much more mundane and heavy, or you could choose another destiny. And that is the work itself is joyful because it's leading you to that joyful feeling and outcome. And you start to fall in love with the process and you start to fall in love with the work, all because you took an extra minute to connect with your center of joy and fulfillment and gratitude. And then when you face the world and face the challenges, you step up to the plate with a different state of mind. This is a muscle you can strengthen. Because when you walk into meetings now, you can take an extra 10 minutes and re-anchor to this feeling and then walk into that room like God sent you. Walk into that room like there's destiny on the other side of that door. Walk into that morning Monday meeting with the team. Enter in that Zoom room instead of a sigh. Enter it with power and purpose because you know that it's a building block to that vision of joy that you have in front of you. This is the missing element to your goals. And yes, I can understand that if you've been goal setting for years without this zhuzh, without this energy, without this power behind it, I can understand why you're just starting to not like goal setting. That makes sense. But if you start exercising this muscle and strengthening this ability, you will find that you can bring what Tony Robbins calls personal power to every single encounter. And this is the element that is missing. This is the very element that is missing from your goal setting. If you can enter a room with this feeling, it is tangible. The people in the room will know that you are leading because you are now setting the tone in the room. Your frequency is there. Your energy is there. Your smile is there. Your eyes are lighting up. You're engaged. Why? Because as soon as we accomplish this meeting, this might be a mundane task for this job that I'm not really attached to, or this business client that I don't really want to talk to. But when that is flushed aside because you have your sights on the horizon, you might have one eye on this little Zoom meeting or that little Zoom meeting, but you have your eyes on the horizon and you are looking towards your goal. And you know that if you succeed at this thing, now, Bob Proctor says, doing at once what needs to be done will bring immediate and lasting results. There's so much work that we're milking out into the week, but what if we took that project for this week and got it done today because we brought this assertive energy because we're going somewhere and we got to take this responsibility, which isn't always the funnest, and condense it, get it done, fill it full of energy and get it done and put it to the side. Then give me the next thing. We have brought our future to us closer more quickly. That's what happens when you connect with your emotional center and apply it to the goals you set for your life 18 months from now, for your life next quarter, for your life today. That's the missing element. So how can you do this? I recommend these few quick things. Number one, stop. Put your phone down. Turn all the stimulation off, all of it. The phones, even music, turn it all off. Be alone with yourself for a second. Do some box breathing. We did this in our group. We did box breathing. If you don't know box breathing, it's 2 seconds breathing in, 2 second hold, 2 seconds breathing out, 2 second hold, 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 3 seconds. You go around until you hit about 6 or 7 seconds, and then you just repeat at your limit, breathing in, until you slow your heart rate down. And then from that state, with your eyes closed, you start visualizing your biggest success last year that brought you to almost to tears full of joy. And then do the same thing of your lifetime. Then you do the same thing for your absolute hopes and dreams. And what would it be like if you were to accomplish those things? You don't stop for asking yourself how. You don't pause for doubting. You save that for later. We doubt, strategize, figure out how all day long. This is a moment where you just dream. And in that space, then you start writing down the things you want, the things you want to do, the things you want to be. We can do this together some other time, I'm sure. I want you to try this because I think you will find a degree of personal power. It's all the more important in a remote working world. It's all the more important whether you work in person or in the office. It is felt when you are physically in the office with people and you show personal power. It is felt. Proof of this. How often have you walked into an office and felt that one person who was heavy? And you could feel tangibly the heaviness on them all day. Of course, well, it's hard to see from this angle, but you can do the same thing with positive energy. And that's what people mean with positive vibes. Why am I talking about this? Because the world is heavy enough. The world is scary enough. This life, this election, this economy, this ecology, this climate, this onslaught of information, these career changes, they're heavy, bro. It's heavy. It's so heavy, it's laughable. And everyone else is heavy too. So I'm talking about this because if you, as one person in 100, one person in 1,000, are doing this exercise, you are the elite. You are the 1% who is elevating the energy in the room, who's elevating the vision for those around them, who's making them feel, and they can't put their finger on why, but you make them feel more powerful and alive than they have been in weeks. You make them feel more hopeful. You make them laugh a little bit. What I am telling you is I am talking about this because don't go out and find what the world needs, but find what makes you alive, because what the world needs are people who are alive. And I get chill bumps saying that to you. I'm saying this to you today because there is an onslaught of depression, malaise, hopelessness, and they want you to feel that way. They want you to spin your wheels getting by. They want you to spin your wheels doing just enough to wake up and do it again tomorrow. They want you to wake up to drop a quarter in the slot machine and play one more round. And little do you know, the quarters in your pocket are running out. What happens when you start to believe and feel things again, when you feel your joy again, when you feel your personal power again, what starts to happen is your pockets start filling up with quarters. You don't even know how they got there. You start transcending the news cycles. The fear, you see them, but the fear cycles move on and you take initiative. That's what starts happening. What starts happening when you access your emotional spectrum is you start to get filled up and you don't even know what happened. And instead of playing the same game day in and day out like they want you to, you transcend that thing. And suddenly you're not playing their game anymore, which means you're setting your own rules, playing your own game, and winning on your own terms. That's why I'm talking about this today. Go out there and make yourself an alive, joyful feeling, grateful feeling being today. But no matter what you do, remember the mission, and you and I are both on it, igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own.